Hey, it's your old pal Slim, and this is 70mm, a podcast for movie lovers just like you. Disclaimer at the top of the show, we're not experts. We're not experts on World War II or any war or movies, but we love watching movies. With me each and every episode is my close friend and artist, Danny Haas.
Hello.
And our close friend and war correspondent, Protolexis.
This podcast is very much...
Every movie that we cover is connected to a theme for that month, and this time it's Mount Goatmore. We're creating our own award and monument in honor of the greatest of all times, and we'll announce the first ever edition next week, actually. You can use the chapters in your podcast app to skip to our main discussion, Proto's submission for Mount Goatmore from 1943, and directors Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger, The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp. You guys see this Spaceball 2 news?
Talk to me.
Spaceballs 2?
Talk to me.
Yeah.
Talk to me like I was on vacation. I didn't see it.
They're getting the band back together.
All of them?
Rick Moranis says run it back. Bill Pullman and Rick Moranis returning for new Spaceballs. And get this, Danny, you're about to perk up in more ways than one. Lewis Pullman also set
Excuse
to join
me.
the cast.
What?
Yeah.
He's going to play Bob.
Proto, your thoughts on Spaceballs 2 and its impending sequel on Amazon MGM app?
Well, first we do have to mention the story that coincided with this one, which some people are saying is the bigger story.
Oh.
Mel Brooks not dead. The amount of people I saw who said, "Wait, Mel Brooks is still alive?" I couldn't believe it.
Powered by Riverside.
Got it.
Yeah, please.
Congratulations to Mel.
Yeah, I mean, this is very
survived.
exciting for the film community to have a sequel to. I mean,
That's huge, actually.
Finally, Star Wars is back.
Now is the time for the Spaceballs sequel. Did we do Spaceballs
We've
on
never
the show?
done Spaceballs.
Never done Spaceballs. Proto, have you seen the movie Spaceballs?
I saw the movie probably when I was a child. I have no memory of Spaceballs. Haven't revisited it.
Wow.
So it'd be like a fresh viewing for me.
I used to play it all the time at West Coast Video,
Yeah.
playing on them TVs.
Had it on at the comic shop a lot.
But then people would say like a-hole in it and I'd get in trouble.
Really?
Yeah, it's like rated G, but there's cursing in it.
But you couldn't. You had
You
to
can't
only
have
play
that on in
rated
a
G.
family West Coast Video that also
So what
has
else
an
would you
adult
fire
section.
up besides Spaceballs?
Oh boy, I don't even remember.
Rookie of the year.
That's all a lie now.
Rookie of the Year. Remember we recorded that?
It's great.
Coming soon.
Oh, I guess
folks.
I should-
Real soon.
All right.
We'll get that app out.
I didn't get those DMs this week. Good
You're
point.
busy. You're a busy guy. You know, you're gallivanting around on vacation.
Yeah.
We don't have time to get into it. We'll get into it in the uncut.
All right.
Just to tease this out real quick before we get into Colonel Blimp, bottom of the hour. The meetup is happening.
Yeah.
Patrons have gotten the inside scoop on when it is. It's the end of August. It's going to be in Philadelphia. We're going to be screening a very certain specific movie. But if you want to get the inside baseball, you can go on our Patreon. That post is available for free, folks. And more official announcements in the future about this meetup. Just teasing it out, folks.
It's official.
Teasing it out. Part, are you excited for running it back in Philadelphia, a la Mel Brooks?
Of course I am. I mean, the city of brotherly love. It's going to be fantastic there.
Brother.
I mean, we're, running it back. We have a great movie. I mean, honestly, if it was up to me to pick the movie for our next meetup, this is the movie I would have picked. But I didn't have to do that because our community picked it. So
Right.
the fact that we're aligned, I mean,
Cars 3.
it feels good.
Cars 3 is not the movie, folks. Don't listen to his propaganda. Did you see the photos that have come out about Cars Land?
I don't.
Did you look at that while you're on
I
vacation?
don't want to talk about that.
But there's water. People were like, "Oh, they're gonna get rid of the water." There's water around Cars Land.
You are really gonna piss me off.
They can't get rid of the
You're
water.
really
in
gonna piss me
Frontierland. We got to move on.
I hate you.
But it's not Cars 3, folks. It will never be Cars 3 for our meetup, whenever that is.
Okay.
Come join the Patreon to get the details. Otherwise, stay tuned for an official announcement forthcoming. Pardo, you watched a movie that is much beloved in
Really?
online. The history of this actor, one of the greatest of all times. He's got a son now who's an actor, I think in White Lotus.
Really?
Arnold Schwarzenegger and Commando.
Yes.
What made you venture into Commando?
Well, Slim, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, this movie came up, and I think you said everybody should watch Commando.
Mm.
I think that was maybe your quote.
That's something some would say.
And I think at this point I now agree.
Ooh,
I think everyone
interesting.
should watch Commando.
count it.
There's something incredibly American about this movie. This is like, I mean, we have Arnold Schwarzenegger. He is, I forgot to put this in my review. Best part of this movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he smells the bad guys because they're upwind. He smells them with his nose, and that's how he knows. But this movie, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's the 80s, but it's everything when you think about like Hollywood, the caricatures, the stereotypes. This movie has all of that. I mean, the movie it's a complete joke. But it's funny. It's definitely compelling to look at it in that time and see, just this buff guy doing these silly stunts with this mindless story and these ridiculous bad guys.
Remember, he has the ice cube doing the montage with his daughter Alyssa Milano with the ice cream.
Excuse me?
Oh yeah.
And he's like, the ice cream, Alyssa Milano, here you go. It's on my face.
His lines in this are incredible. There are so many incredible Schwarzenegger lines. So I mean, for
The
that
ice
reason,
cream.
yeah, definitely. I gave it 2 stars. But check it out.
It maybe has the worst villain of all 80s movies, Vernon Wells. Like he plays this flamboyant, charismatic, black ops soldier that is getting revenge on Arnold. And nothing about him screams like, stealth soldier assassin.
No,
It's just like so bizarre.
yeah, he's wearing like a chainmail mesh T-shirt, and he's like twirling this knife for most of the movie. And when he finally runs into Arnold, you're like, just Arnie, end him, please.
One roundhouse kick and that guy is dead. He has nothing going on. I think they even get like hand-to-hand combat, and he's holding his own. It's like this guy has nothing.
That's what I gave
like
up.
It's like Michael Cera holding his own in the 80s against Arnold in a hand-to-hand combat.
Goodness.
Which honestly, I would like to see that.
I mean,
Maybe the one usage
Riverside
of AI
AI.
that I would allow.
I mean, that's a great segue, though. Michael Cera. I did get to see Michael Cera's newest picture this week as well.
God.
The Phoenician Scheme, the newest Wes Anderson movie. And Michael Cera he's just so fantastic in this. I was just giggling uncontrollably at every little. I mean, Michael Cera turns his head. I'm losing it. Like just everything about him is so funny.
Oh man. Yes.
I loved him in this. He's great. And the Venetian Scheme, I liked it. I gave it 3 stars. There's this interesting, this conversation around Wes Anderson at this time. It's very fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fascinating conversation. And I'm kind of in the camp, of people saying, listen, Wes Anderson, he's one of the masters. He's a craftsman.
goats?
He's a goat. Let's just say, I'm just going to say he's a goat. I'd put him up on the goat more. But, if you go to a 4-star restaurant and you get the steak,
right?
And then you go back every single time and have the steak, time and time again, it's still the same great steak, but it's like, you know what? I've had this a couple times already. And that's just where I'm at with Wes Anderson and his movies. I don't think he should change. I think Wes Anderson should do whatever he wants. I'm not asking him to change or, do anything differently. But I just feel like when I see his movies, so I was reading online, someone was saying like he hasn't made a different, he's been making the same movie since the Grand Budapest Hotel. And I feel like I kind of agree with that. But I've liked all of his movies. So it's kind of like this weird, I don't know, this weird place with his pictures. But I went with Jenna because she loves Wes Anderson, and we had a great little date night or
Really?
date day.
God bless.
We went during the day. Can you believe it?
What did she give it?
We didn't get into it. I didn't.
Oh no!
You didn't even talk about the movie when you left. You just left the theater, went straight home, and not said a word.
I didn't want to give her any reason to sniff out my 3 stars because then that could be a problem. Okay. Just gotta protect myself.
Did you guys get lunch beforehand? What's the day date situation for a movie?
Slim, at this point, it's hard to remember. It was Saturday, less than a week ago. No, I don't think so. Oh, we had to be back because we just left the kids at home. We had to be back to check on the children, make sure they were still okay.
Kids swinging from ceiling fans as you arrive at home. Like Kermit the Frog, just stationary on a ceiling fan blade.
Everything was fine.
That's the... The Phoenician Scheme. Danny, you gave that 5 stars.
Oh yeah, had a great time. Had a blast.
Wes Anderson.
Keep doing it, Wes.
One of the goats.
Some of us
they're
still
saying.
love you.
Some people still love Wes.
Yeah, we're
His
out here.
umbrella.
Oh
Whoa.
no!
My God.
You set the
Just had to turn my oven off.
Cake is almost finished. Let me see. Did I watch anything? We can give out a free year of Letterboxd Pro.
Yeah, let's do
maybe
that.
folks watch the movies along with us on Letterboxd. Tag their reviews 70mm pod. You're entered to win a free year of Letterboxd Pro. No ads, custom posters, backdrops, all that jazz. Mike. Did Mike actually get username Mike? Am I seeing that right? Is Mike in chat right now? No. I don't know. Mike watched Left Behind
Oh,
Hello.
okay.
from 2000. Kirk Cameron, one of my favorite episodes we've ever done. That's in my Mount Rushmore of episodes.
Okay.
Half star. Wow. Parentheses, derogatory. Thank you to the Tubi gods for allowing my ad block so this turd wasn't an even longer watch. That's harsh. A half star for that movie is harsh.
Wait, for which movie?
Left Behind, Kirk Cameron.
Oh. For some
Oh,
reason, I thought it
yeah.
was
This is the
Creed.
OG. This isn't the
The
remake.
OG one is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
fun.
gotta open your heart.
My review is everyone nude in heaven?
Boy, someone asked in Mike's comments, why? Why did you watch this? And he has to explain. It's
Does he
podcast
explain?
I listened to. Man, we covered that for Easter. Are we geniuses? Oh my God. Dang, that was pretty smart.
Easter, baby.
Anyway, Mike won the Year of Letterboxd patron. Mike actually watched Dick Tracy soon after that. 2.5 stars.
All right.
Mike is not having a good time going through the archive.
Sorry, Mike.
Pretty awesome decision to make all the bad guys look like knockoff Cenobites from Hellraiser.
All right, Mike.
Did I write a review
Can we take
for
that?
Dick
Can we
Tracy?
take the prize back?
We could talk.
We could walk that
offline.
back, right?
Yeah.
For Dick Tracy, those comments.
I didn't even write a review for our Dick Tracy viewing. That's very strange of me. Very unlike me.
Not really.
Predator Killer of Killers. You guys heard about this? I never heard of watch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you guys can talk about it. Go ahead.
Dan Trachtenberg
Dan did this movie?
Famed director of Prey. Also 10 Cloverfield Lane. Mary Elizabeth Winstead fans rise up.
Goated.
Extremely goated actor. But anyway, he's like running the Predator-verse, it seems like. Ever since Prey came out, they're kind of letting him run free. He's got another live-action Predator Badlands that's going in theaters, I think, instead of just going right to Hulu. That one follows a young Predator. I feel like the young Predator and Elle Fanning are the stars of that movie.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how that. I mean, I'm excited, very excited. Obviously, I will be there.
It follows a young Predator.
There is a Predator as like
a
the
child.
Lead. No, I mean like a
teen,
maybe like 20s. Like he's 20s age.
How did the years work in Predator lives?
I don't.
Do you want to hear the synopsis? Do you want to hear it?
Oh,
I just read it.
Oh, you did?
I would like to hear it.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Cast out from its clan, an alien hunter and an unlikely ally embark on a treacherous journey in search of the ultimate adversary.
Who?
That has me
Elle Fanning?
Oh, yeah. Elle Fanning.
Yeah, I'm excited. The trailer for that movie was giving Alien vibes. You know, just like the look of a old school like Alien movie. You know, the fog mist of another planet, and it's very dark. Just like I don't know, it just has a vibe.
Oh, I didn't even see this trailer. What?
You haven't seen the Badlands trailer?
No, I missed this.
What the French?
Right, I have homework.
That's what you get for having the trailers channel muted.
Post show. Anywho, Predator Killer of Killers was dropped on Hulu, and it's an animated anthology of sorts directed by Dan Trachtenberg. So he's putting out this other property on Hulu that is like continuing the story. So it follows 3 different people at different, time periods that have had to fight a predator, and does something really cool. I hadn't watched a trailer or anything. I just kind of like went in thinking it was some anthology thing, but the characters are connected in the plot. They interact with each other. It's really fun. It's just like bonkers how Predator is kind of like cool and good again to me. Like you get someone with half a brain making some of these properties.
Dang.
Like Dan Trachtenberg, and it's fun. I thought the animation and the story was awesome in the animated movie part. I think you gave it at least 3 stars.
Yeah, I gave it 3 stars. Yeah, I mean, don't be swayed by the 3 stars. I mean, it's great for what it is. I mean, the animation's great. I think it was like the first, so it's 3 stories, and the first one kind of had me snoozing a bit, but I thought as it went on, it got progressively better. By the 3rd story, I thought it was a really cool approach. And I mean, if we've seen Predator, and like, what a wet sock that is to see this, this rubber head looking so goofy. In this, the Predators look amazing. Like the designs, the ships, the weapons, so good. I mean, very adult, very violent, but great. Yeah, and it's like, you're right. This is like a gold mine that Hollywood refused to mine for like 20 years.
Right. Remember they made those AVP movies, Alien vs. Predators, with what's his face came back as the head of Wayland Yutani. Oh my God, those things are duds.
Was the Bad Predator one with Adrian Brody? Am I making that up in my head?
That was Predators, where like all these people get dropped on a planet and they're hunted.
Okay.
That one was okay. But Adrian Brody plays like this rough and tumble soldier. It's like weirdest casting ever. Let's not relitigate the brutalist on this show. I think that's all I have to talk about. Danny, I don't think you watched anything. Is that true?
No, did not. I refused to this week.
By the way, we'll say this at the end of the show. We might just drop next week's episode. Shock drop.
Yeah.
We might. We're not going to announce what next week's episode is.
Yeah.
We know what the episode is. We know who the goat is. We've already solved it. We've solved the puzzle. Yeah. So we don't ever really just drop a surprise episode, but we thought it might be fun to experiment. So everyone just buckle up.
This is a goat that'll bring everyone together.
As was prophesied.
Right. As was foretold.
Can we get a hint? I don't know. When you see the No, I'm not going to say anymore. I'm not going to say
already
anymore.
going to ruin it.
Because I think the surprise drop is going to be really fun.
I agree.
But patrons will get it early.
That's true.
So, folks, you want to sign up for $4 a month, get access to our Discord, uncut episodes. This uncut episode, you get it as soon as we're done recording Thursday night. So, in theory, patrons will get the Goatmore reveal Friday morning next week. The end of this week. Should we get into our picture?
Yeah.
The main course, episode 268, The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp. This is Proto's suggestion, nomination for Mount Goatmore. It's 2 people. It's the first time in the history of Mount Goatmore this has ever happened.
Crazy.
Proto, do you want to tell us what this movie is all about?
Clive Wynne Candy is a soldier in the British Army. After serving in the Second Boer War of 1899 to 1902, Candy returns to England a war hero. Receiving a telegram from an Edith Hunter, he travels to Berlin to help quell anti-British propaganda that has begun to spread. After causing a kerfuffle, he finds himself in a sword duel with a German officer. Theo Kretschmar Schuldorf will begin as his enemy, but become a lifelong friend. Candy eventually reaches the rank of Major General serving in the First World War, but by the 1930s, the world has changed drastically, while Candy has remained the same. Can an old war dog like Candy make it? The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp.
War Dog. Proto, you had seen this movie already. You dropped a bomb review. For this movie. You gave it 5 stars your first viewing. What was that experience like?
Yeah, let me see. I can't remember if I watched this for AFI or if this was my Criterion Challenge. Let's see. Oh, I don't have it marked for either. Maybe it wasn't either of those. Okay. Yeah, I watched this last year around this time for the first time. I think it had been on my watch list for whatever reason. I pushed play, and I remember having reservations like this movie, 1943. You never know what you're getting yourself into with this. But I was deeply moved by this movie the first time I saw it. I was kind of struck by how visually how this looked for a movie from 1943, and I think it was compounded because of the fact that I had never heard anyone talk about this before. And I've heard people, I think of the other Powell and Pressburger movies, I had heard people talk about all of them. The Red Shoes, Black Narcissus, A Matter of Life and Death. Was familiar with those, but I had never heard anyone talk about the Colonel Blimp. So when I started watching it, I was like, how have I not heard of this movie before? So that was my first experience. And I remember thinking, I want to do this on the show someday.
Yeah, your review was like insane. Like, you didn't quote any of it. I mean, it's worth quoting, to be honest. There's always a few zingers. And I just had a mental reminder of when I read your Ninja Turtles review. I mean, it's got to be my all-time favorite Letterboxd review. Anytime I even think about that review, I start laughing.
Stupid. Amazing.
I might not even be able to read this Blimp review. Thinking of your Ninja Turtles review. All right, pause. I was stun-locked the entire viewing. I remember that line cracked me up.
Stun-locked.
That's the only one I will read for now, folks. Read Proto's review. 39 likes on that review.
Viral.
He's going viral again.
He's never missed.
He does not miss. I mean, what's your follower count up to these days? 2,087 on Letterboxd.
That's insane.
You put that, like, you use social media inflation. That's like 3 million on Instagram.
It's true.
When you do the math.
That's true.
Wow.
Danny, what's your history with the Archers? They're called the Archers. You know that?
I actually didn't, until I guess the beginning of this movie. I don't remember the Archers logo being in Red Shoes or Black Narcissus. But I've seen both of those, and I loved those films. That's really my only history. And anytime someone, I think it was just Proto really that's brought this film up before, I always feel like he's saying a fake movie. Like the title of this film never felt like a real movie. And I was always too afraid to Google it, thinking I was falling into his trap.
It sounds like a Wes Anderson movie, to be honest.
A remake by Wes? I mean, we could do it. It's just, yeah. What was that noise you just made?
He just choked at the idea.
I don't know what sound just came out of him. So I think only Proto's been the one that's kind of championed this film around me enough to I know the name of it. Mm-hmm. Still kind of shocked he picked it for Goated Month for Mount Goatmore. So
Pressburger Pal are his dual nominations.
Pretty solid. Excited to hear how he thinks it should work out for him.
Yeah, I remember I saw your review. I'm not even sure if I added this to my watch list because when I read the synopsis, it still just didn't feel like an enticing movie to watch.
It's so interesting.
At all to me. It also has one of the absolute worst posters for any kind of like highly rated film. Like the default TMDb with Deborah Kerr on it, I think.
Oh, it just says Blimp?
Yeah, with just like her horrific floating head. I'm trying to see if it was Art's review. Let me pull it up here.
It's like, Blimp and the duel sword fight, and that's it.
It doesn't even look like her.
It's so bad. Someone's review, I guess it wasn't Art. It was somebody's, like, they said it looked like, she doesn't even look like Deborah Kerr. It looks like Gene Wilder.
Yes. Yes.
I'm sorry I can't find your review. I thought it was Art, but maybe it was somebody else. But yeah, just terrible. So, and I think it's like a Criterion. Is it a Criterion cover?
The Criterion one is with the British flag in his profile.
Okay, yeah, that's the one I'm thinking. Like I think that's now
the
maybe
nice
like
one.
the default. So yeah, just nothing really enticing to me about the movie. So, and we have covered The Red Shoes.
Yeah.
Which is a great episode, but an even better film. Like that was like just a wild experience watching that movie. And wow, what a picture. Mm-hmm. And that has, was that Anton in that one? Yeah, Anton Walbrook was in that one. So when Anton appeared in this movie, I was like, whoa, Red Shoes, cinematic universe.
Good point.
So like, I think that's essentially my history with them. I mentioned I have the VHS of The Black Narcissus. My dad loved that movie. I have not watched it. And I have not watched really any of their other pictures. So I'm pleased that this was picked so it could be, checked off the list. In my review, I asked about what the hell is a Turkish bathhouse.
You said dingaling.
What's going on?
You said dingalings.
Right?
I did use the word dingaling in my review. I was about to ask what a I can't even say a Turkish bathhouse was, but then I remembered that on some of the hockey teams I play on, the older dudes just drop their pants and let their dingalings hang out in full view next on
that's
70
definitely
mm.
Turkish. That's Turkish.
So I feel like I have a lived experience with a Turkish bathhouse just because of the amount of 55 to 65-year-old penis that I've seen in locker rooms. With that said,
aged meat.
Like those little dried sausages you can get in the bags at like Costco.
A little bit of juice on the outside.
That's foul. I'm going to cut that out. That is absolutely disturbing.
Stop talking about that.
Katie's
You know what I'm talking about.
All right, so Proto, this is your pick. What is at the top of your list for this viewing?
Well, thinking back to the first time I watched it and then watching it this time, I just am amazed. It's like from the opening shot of these guys on motorcycles that this movie is from 1943 and it's in color, in Technicolor. And I kind of feel that way the whole time I'm watching this movie. So I think for me, I'm just like biased towards that for whatever reason. It just like blows my mind that a movie could look like this. Cause I was even thinking of like, all right, because I think for so long, like when I thought of movies from the 30s or the 40s or even the 50s, it's like it's black and white, it's, you know, low res, it's like muffled audio almost. You know, I'm thinking of like, you know, Casablanca came out in 1942. It's a Wonderful Life came out in 1943. But like this movie, it just doesn't feel like those movies to me. In some ways it does. Like just some of like the way it's shot and the sets, of course, they look of the time. But there's a lot in this movie that just blows my mind. And like the whole time I'm just saying to myself, I can't believe they made this in 1943. And especially just seeing everything in vivid color in the way it is. It just kind of, like my review said, like I'm just kind of like stun locked the whole time watching this, that it exists and that it was made when it was.
Yeah. I was thinking about it as you were saying that, and I was like mentally comparing it to Lawrence of Arabia. Lawrence of Arabia came out in the 1960s, folks. So I was way off. But yeah, I mean, visually, I think Goody in chat said this was their first Technicolor film. And some of the like, you know, metadata that some of these streaming services, they use like the black and white backdrop for some reason. I guess there was a black and white version that was like released in the US. Like there was a heavily edited versions of this movie that were released.
It was 90 minutes.
It's so weird that like
90-minute film.
Some of those screenshots are like still exist in some way. Like, why are you serving those up to me? But yeah, I remember my first note also was just the motorcycle scenes. Like this all looks great. And I know this had been recently restored due to the work of Marty and Thelma. I think like their, you know, organization or something really worked hard to restore this film to the version that we're watching it today. And the restoration is wild. Like this movie looks fantastic. And it's from 1943. Like it's just crazy. Like some of the scenes with, I think, Clive's hair, like he had his little donut hair. Like there's a couple scenes where he's close to the camera and I can see the actual skin from the wig on his head. And I was like, oh my God, this restoration is insane. Like, it's crazy how clear it looks. And yeah, I mean, 1943, they had those matte paintings, backdrops, the set, the model set of them doing the duel.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Where the camera pulls back from that. I mean,
and then pans down to the model of the car they're leaving in, the buggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christ alive.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And for me, the clarity is like one thing, but the color is what really, I think, makes this film shine. There's the scene where Deborah Kerr, it's like the third iteration of her character, and it's the stoplight moment, and she's driving through the stoplights. And the way it like lit up her face, there was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe the color they're getting in the 40s. I think if I would have watched this not knowing the date, I would have guessed this was in the 60s. Maybe even closer to the 70s that this film was made. Everything looked impeccable.
Yeah. I just had my diary up to see what other 1940s movies I had. Wonderful Life is at least listed as 46, but we have covered The Uninvited, I think. Wait, no, not The Uninvited. I'm thinking the other one Deborah Kerr was in.
The Innocents.
The Innocents.
Yeah.
I don't know what year that was. Gilda I've watched. It's a Wonderful Life. The Wolf Man was 1941. If you want to also just kind of compare other movies that are, you know, within a few years of this. Meet Me in St. Louis was 44. The Philadelphia Story was 40. And The Red Shoes was a couple years later at 48.
Kane was 41.
Yeah. And that was like revolutionary at the time.
Yeah.
Citizen Kane episode When.
Yeah.
I beat someone to it. Yeah. Just gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. Danny, first on your list?
First on my list. I think my favorite thing about this, I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's one that struck me the most, was how well General Clive Candy, how well they aged Roger through the entire film. I couldn't get over. I honestly, with the way this movie starts with him at the end of his career or whatever, how the film ends is how this begins. And he's however age. He's so old, not so old, but he's old, bald. He's got more weight on him, and he's got the mustache. And for him to like have that moment in the pool where it pans up and then it's his young self coming out of the pool at the beginning. I at that moment I thought they had two actors. I still at that point I was like, oh, they got a younger guy to play younger Colonel whatever. I kept wanting to call him Colonel Blimp because I assumed that was his name the whole movie. I don't know when that. I don't understand that one, but throughout the film, through every kind of either the war moments or his moments at home, I couldn't get over the aging process of this actor and how well it looked. It just kind of blew me away. The makeup was perfect. His performance was perfect. It's just shocking. It's just shocking to think about what we do today and how bad stuff looks when they age people, or even
Luke
just like
Skywalker
digital
and Ahsoka.
de-aging. Even we talk like about The Irishman or something like that, it looks like trash. But then it's like you see this done in the 40s and my jaw's on the floor the whole time. Every little jump in time. I couldn't believe what I was seeing that they were doing with him.
I mean, his acting, I think, is like half the battle.
Yeah.
To like his performance as this character.
I agree.
Especially as he gets older, it's shocking. And I watched it twice, and the second time around, I really paid attention to like the body doubling that they did in that first scene with like him in the bathhouse. He's laying down. They show him from the neck up, and then any full body shot they show, it's like a different person with a rounder body. And when he fights him going into the pool, it's like the body double with a bigger body. They never show his face. He's just like from the back. He's going slower. But yeah, that trickery worked really well because I didn't really notice it at the onset because I had the same reaction Danny did. It's like, wait, that's him? Like, he's so young.
Yeah,
like, what did I just see?
Yeah.
It's like it's a magic trick, and it works so well. You don't even really catch it unless you kind of like watch it a second time. But yeah, his performance from the young buck to like the elder at the end, it's a dynamite acting performance.
You know what's funny about the opening scene too? Because the movie's called The Life and Death, and when he gets out of the pool and it's like jumps back in time to his younger self, I was like, oh shit, they drowned him in the end. This is how he died.
It did look like they were both like
oh,
trying
God.
to. Yeah, the camera stayed on them in a way. I would have went for a second take. They're just like laying underwater and like what's going on?
Shit, this is how he dies at the end of this film. All right. God damn.
Yeah, I like how you see him old at the beginning of the movie, but then like when it returns to that by the end, you guys just talking about it. Like for a moment, I don't even question that he is like an old guy. Like just the way he even like changes his walk, he kind of like more so like waddles around. And like almost like the reason for the mustache, like the mustache has a purpose in the story of his life. It like appears in the middle point and then he carries that through with him, but then he goes bald as well. It's such like a smart but natural progression for this character. And you're right. Like I buy it the whole time, except for there is that close up of his wig in the beginning is like, you can see the stitching on the wig. But I mean, also it's kind of amazing. Like you said, just like the restoration of this, that you can see those details.
You make fun of my mustache, but you don't know why I have it. 40 years. Where he's like drowning underwater and he's still yelling at Bud or whatever, like Spud, whatever the guy's name was. Oh boy. Yeah, he was one of my points. Roger Livesay? Did I say his name? I'm not sure, but his performance is just out of hand. Let's get into Deborah.
Yes, please.
Deborah as three separate characters in this movie. This feels like revolutionary even today. Like I don't even like I don't know. Maybe this has happened today with a woman playing 3 distinct characters over several decades.
The original Tilda Swinton.
Tilda, retire.
You fraud, Tilda, retire. But I thought each of her characters were fascinating in their own right. Like Edith, I think, was the initial character who wanted Clive to look into this, this guy who was spreading propaganda. And she has, I think it's her character's like, she insinuates that a woman could stop these dumbass wars, a little common sense and bad manners. There'd be no war at all. And she eventually falls in love / is just married to Tio, and we never see her again. She dies off camera, but Deborah, comes back as, I can't remember the second character's first name.
It is Barbara. Barbara Wynn.
And she comes back into his life and she dies, in the shadows. But then she comes back again as Angela. And I thought the idea of this woman, Edith, the first character, being so important in Clive's life and having been lost that almost, every other important woman in his life essentially is her.
Yeah.
And that he couldn't make the move and change and go out on a limb and marry her or tell her that it's just a recurring theme in his life. Like that is bonkers to me. Like that idea of the storyline, maybe that hit you with your first viewing as well.
Yeah. Well, someone actually in chat, Emma, said she didn't realize until just now that it was the same actress. And I think not until halfway through watching it the first time, I was like, wait, what is going on? Is this the same person? Is Deborah playing everyone? Because it does feel like it's kind of surprising in that way that she plays these pretty much the 3 main roles of women in this movie. And I feel like this time it kind of struck me more because I think there's a lot going on in this movie, and it's kind of, I think it can feel overwhelming as you watch it. So watching it a second time, I felt like I was thinking more about that, of her role playing these 3 women. And it's really fascinating because this movie, it's really about this guy, Clive Candy, who is this soldier who is kind of phasing out of time and out of everything, out of culture, out of society, out of understanding the ways of the world. So you watch him and then you watch his friend Teo at the same time going through this, and he moves through time in a different way. But then the female characters are almost like this eternal, never changing 20-year-old woman played by Deborah Kerr. And it's really I don't really know what else to say about it other than it's really compelling to see and to think about as you watch it. So I love it. And I think I think Deborah Kerr is amazing, in this. Some of her fits are fantastic, but it's a really cool, just bit of storytelling.
I think what's crazy too is, not crazy. The thing that struck me the most about it was it's also 3 very distinctly different parts. The only thing that was tying her through the whole thing is she just looks like the first person, to Clive. It's he's smitten with her. He can't do anything because Theo loves her and he just lets her have her. But then you get to move on to her next performance, and she's the nun that he falls in love with, right? She's the nun. Yeah. And she marries, and then he literally puts her on the wall as his literal trophy wife with all of his other trophies, which I thought was fascinating as well, that conversation. And then she plays the young soldier, a whole other character. Where was Oscar for Deborah
Great question.
this year? It's a brilliant performance. It's we would definitely give Daniel Day-Lewis an Oscar for something like this, but not Deborah Kerr.
Yeah, I mean, also like so cool that she played like 3 different phases of women in wartime,
Yeah.
like over the course of decades. I didn't. This is we're not experts. I didn't realize that Deborah was the star of Black Narcissus.
Mhm.
But not only that, The King and I.
Oh, yes.
What? The King and I was like on all the time at my house, and it's like mind blowing to me that she's the lead. I had no idea. She's also in Casino Royale.
Yeah, we don't talk
the
about that
original.
one. We just
Throwing
move
that out there.
We won't hold that against Deborah.
In Affair to Remember, I've heard of, and I'm adding it to my watch list right now.
Should
But
we just do a Deborah Kerr month?
I feel like, yeah, we got some Deborah Kerr work to do, like big time. King and I that's definitely going to be a future episode.
I mean, look at the banner on From Here to Eternity. I mean, how are we not doing this movie?
Oh my God. Burt Lancaster's body.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of it. I will take up smoking tonight if that's what it takes to get this body. God.
And Affair
Do
to
people know
Remember.
how hard it is to lose like 7 pounds in your mid 40s? Folks, it's difficult. And cigarettes might be the answer.
I might agree.
An Affair to Remember, my mom watched that a couple times. So you guys haven't seen that? That's
No, I've never seen
that's,
Affair to Remember.
Wow, that's a banger.
I mean, a Deborah Kerr month would be so
I mean, maybe.
Art in chat, November.
Do we have November plans?
Lock
We
it
I don't
don't.
remember.
I think
Lock it in.
Hit the lock it in music.
We have done The Innocents from Jack
We
Clayton.
have done The Innocents.
So you can go
Absolute
back
banger.
into the archives and listen to that. That's a 5-star picture. Easy. She's also in Julius Caesar. Marlon
We got a banger
Brando.
month.
She's not a lead. She's like 6th build. Oh, gosh. All right. I need to focus up here.
Mm-hmm.
Was that my... yeah, mine was Deb. So, Prote?
So this guy, Clive Wincanty, his life is just fascinating. I think that's one of the other things that drew me into this movie. I find it really compelling. The British of this era, here they are. It's like, I guess like the turn of the century, and I'm no expert, but to me, it seems like maybe they're at like the height of their empire, the British Empire, like throughout the world. And it's really communicated like through those montages of this guy's life. Like here he is, he's like serving in the army and he's in this Boer War of 1899. And, I don't know anything about the Boer War. I'm not going to pretend.
Never heard of it.
So I don't know if it's a real war or that's, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But, he does that. And then he's kind of like, he's this decorated soldier, but he just like, it just looks like he's like living a life of luxury and royalty, basically, for his whole life. His fits in this, his uniforms, the events that he's going to, this dinner party he has with like his 15 best friends who are also like officials in the army
Ruling
or
the
like in the
world.
state. Yeah. They just like rule the world. Like they're just smoking cigars and drinking port. And then the montages of him like traveling the world and trophy hunting for like these creatures. It's like hard to wrap my head around of like what a life of this, like what it would look like and what it would feel like. It's so foreign to me and it's incredibly fascinating to me. It makes me want to like read more about this time and, people like him.
Mm-hmm. And to come back to like the Colonel Blimp name of it all, I think that there's like a newspaper strip, and there was like this pompous, British military character who like epitomized the kind of upper class, pompous, aristocratic nature of like what the British military had become. So from that view, like this character is kind of, maybe their version of like, what is the backstory of that? And how did like the military get there and stuff like that? Because I think, and I'm not sure if part of you dug into it, but like Winston Churchill like didn't want this movie to be released / made. Like they gave them nothing during filming. And I think also the fact that Theo's character of like a German a sympathetic German in the early 40s before World War II had ended was like mind-boggling.
Yeah.
That's such a character who came from Nazi Germany would be like a sympathetic character and on screen so often. Like it was just like unheard of. And even then unheard of that like he would rail against Nazism by the time they filmed this, like 1942, about like this great evil that needs to be like eradicated by all cost, like any cost. So yeah, there's definitely some like historical aspects in this movie that I had to like, why is this a satire at the time? And like they have like his 15 aristocratic friends at that dinner. Meanwhile, Theo is like, escaping Germany because he doesn't believe of like the evils that's happening. And they're all just like, drinking wine or whatever, just fattening up. So yeah, there's a lot of levels to this movie that I think warrant some like reading and also like a rewatch. Like you mentioned it earlier, but the first like 30 minutes with the Spud, I didn't know what the French
that was
going on.
That was in my
movie.
notes.
I literally wrote no clue what's going on.
Absolutely no clue. I was lost in the weeds.
Like, are we actually at war at midnight? I have no idea.
I was like, why is he laughing so much? He's attacking someone right now. Is this a joke? What is happening?
I know, yeah. He's waving his gun around.
And then he drowns them. I was so confused on that whole bit.
Dear boy, we go to war at midnight. It doesn't start until midnight. He's sweating. The sweat is flying off his head. Midnight. God. Danny.
Yeah.
Nice
the friendship between Theo and Candy, I thought was such a brilliantly written, I don't know, kind of story. I didn't expect.
Let it out.
I didn't expect there to be like so much like emotional, like after this, like we just said, after the first like 30 minutes, it's like, is this Monty Python? Like, what am I watching right now?
Right.
But then for it to like progress and these quiet, not like quiet moments, these like deep moments with Theo and Candy, especially post the first war, when he's trying to get alien status or not be, I don't know what I know like trying to immigrate into Britain. And the conversations they have together, I was just like, I wasn't prepared for like how deep they were going to be and how the perspective of Theo from being in Germany and what Germany's become after the war. What has he gone home to? While on the other hand, Candy has still lived this life of luxury post-war. It was such a, I don't know, I wasn't prepared. Like this, like definitely want to rewatch this film again, knowing what I'm getting myself into this time. Because their friendship was just like, I loved it so much. Like I was like so endearing, the two of them till the end. And it was beautiful. It was something like I was not expecting this at all. And I think also the removal of so much of, there's no real war in this movie. They remove the duel aspect of the two of them fighting. Like these like high, like climactic moments that could be in the film aren't really there, and you're left to kind of tell a better story in between these moments, which I thought was like, we're talking about a film in the 40s, and these guys are like way past the pay grade in what they're trying to do for these films.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my first viewing, I felt like I didn't quite get it. It's like 3 hours long, but I think it requires your 100% focus.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back and rewatched it again. And the friendship that they had, I thought, like on my second viewing, like the second time I watched it, I was like, okay, yeah, there's a lot here.
Mm-hmm.
And it, like, especially like the first 40 minutes I mentioned, like I didn't quite grasp it until the second viewing. And I think the last time I said that you'll get more out of it on the second viewing was Arrival. Remember we covered Arrival?
Yeah. Yeah, we did do that.
But yeah, their friendship really shone through on the second viewing. And Theo has like 2 or 3 just insane speeches, monologues. Like the one where he's talking about like why he left Germany, why he's come back to England.
Just to like the customs agent.
Yeah, and I think that's like all one take, one shot. Like when he's like, actually, I want to tell the truth. Like, and how he lost his kids to the Nazis.
Heartbreaking.
Just wild scene. And I think that Anton and was it Pressburger? Or maybe Goody can correct me in chat, but I think they fled Germany. They fled Nazi Germany in real life. Like, and I think that was part of his actual life. Like, so he's kind of speaking through his character. But yeah, like that speech, but then also later on when they're at the house, Deborah's there too as Johnny, and Clive is kind of like going through like, he just got fired because he was about to like give a speech about how he thought that if they just like stayed the course and doing the same old like war type things, like we'll beat the Nazis. And Theo like gives that speech like, this is not a gentleman's war.
This is not a gentleman's war. This time you are fighting for your very existence against the most devilish idea ever created by a human brain. Nazism. And if you lose, there won't be a return match next year. Perhaps not even for 100 years.
And it's like going against everything that Clive has like done in his entire life, like followed the rules, been the good soldier, and he like can't get in his head that he has to like take it up a notch to fight the Nazis to win.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, those moments are so good. Yeah, I mean, and thinking about that of like hearing those lines, but like watching this in 1943, sitting in a theater, hearing these lines while the war is still going on. And it's not like 1943. I mean, this is not a good time. It's not like the Allies were like, hey, we got this in the bag. I mean, this is like still 2 years before it ends. This is a bad time. So just like I can't even imagine what it must have been like to sit in a theater living this, like reading the headlines every day, and then, and watching this movie talk about these things. It's really incredible. And not to mention like the technical marvel that I think it is probably at the time too, of like, if you saw this in color for the first, like this, how many people was this the first movie they saw in color, and like having this story. I mean, this is like James Cameron in 1943,
This was their avatar.
This is their avatar. I'm trying to think like, what's the modern equivalent? And I'm not comparing them. Just everyone calm down.
Just do it.
But like, not like a 9/11 movie that had come out maybe in January of 2002.
Right.
That's the kind of thing that would feel bonkers to me. And then not only that, but like 50 years later, we'd be saying like, what was this like coming out January 2002?
Yeah.
And it's like this, I can't believe what they did on screen. And like, but yeah, like Oliver Stone's World Trade Center, what year did that come out? It wasn't like, immediately, I guess, I mean, how long was World War II going on for? 3 years by this point. So maybe there's like an analog. I don't know. I could probably check. Do I have to type this in, folks? Does anyone have access to a phone?
I'm not typing anything.
To tell me what year World Trade Center?
I don't want that on my hands.
2006. That's 5 years. That's longer.
Yeah.
So this was way sooner than that had come out. And again, they're not the same thing, but like mainstream war, jingoism.
Excuse me.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But even then, like he does the speech and he still joins like, what is it called? The Home Guard.
Yeah. Because he was forced to retire.
Right. But even then he still doesn't kind of get it.
No, he doesn't get it. And that's why he gets attacked. They don't play by the rules.
I think he only gets it in like the final scene where he realizes,
when he drowns.
the lake. He comes back to his story. And that, again, like, to be honest, that's another scene that I didn't really quite get until I watched it a second time. Like, I remember watching for the first time and I hear the voiceover. I'm like, what scene was that even from? They just like make that scene up. But yeah, it like really hammers home.
I do love the character of Candy in this though, because I think he has like, in those moments of him kind of aging out, I feel like he has a level of like humility and grace to understand it. Like, or maybe like, even if he doesn't understand it, he's willing to accept it, that like, all right, there's multiple people in my life telling me that like the way I'm thinking is off. It's wrong. Like it doesn't work for the current climate, the powers that be. And he like receives that, like when he gets canceled from the radio broadcast, like he's obviously like really bummed, but you can tell that he's like comprehending it and like getting that, like, you know what? Yeah, I guess I just don't get it anymore. And I should step aside. Like, this isn't my role anymore. And I don't know. I'm just kind of like, like, I feel like even in, I don't know, like modern movies, like a character having that kind of like reflection and thoughtfulness in a scenario. Maybe it's just like not depicted in movies. We don't make movies that are exploring those things, but it just feels like very rare to have a character who will have that kind of turn of just kind of be like, you know what? I'm not the guy for this moment. I don't have the answers. I'm not going to assert myself. I'm just going to be like, you know what? It's time for the next generation or whatever.
Right. I'm going back to my Turkish bathhouse. You guys deal with this Nazi bullshit.
Giggling.
Yeah, he had a line too after Theo gave that speech, something about like his, best friends letting each other down or something like that. And they just, that's also a funny scene too, where what's his face Murdoch comes in and asks like, how's the soup or why are you guys eating the soup or whatever. That was very funny. And he just yells back at Murdoch. Yeah, it's a very strange levity of comedy and like these pretty deep conversations.
And Murdoch joining the home and then getting killed?
Something. Yeah. Yeah, the house got bombed. What is it? The Home Guard? Is that what it was called? I wrote it down somewhere. Yeah. Danny, final point, maybe?
What else have we covered? I think we've covered everything.
Menchie's?
Menchie's.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. I don't really have any extra honorable menchies. We've talked about so much. The only thing else I wrote down was I want to hug Theo. He felt like he needed a hug the whole movie.
Some scenes he looked like an absolute ghost. Like they just threw on more white powder to make him look older, and it just didn't quite work with what they had to do with him compared to Clive.
So I think when I first started this film, 30 minutes in, I was like, oh God, what did Proto do to us this week? But I don't think that there's ever been a movie where by the end of it, I've made a complete 180 on any sort of feelings and how the movie started, to where I feel like I was watching a film that I don't know, will I watch this every year, like once a year? There's something about it that I just found so endearing. I thought the story was incredible. I thought the performances were incredible. Visually, what they did with Criterion and Scorsese for restoring the negatives that they found for this film is unmatched. So for me, I'm at 5 stars for this movie.
Oh,
yeah. It's a film where I finished it and I'm like, I understood a lot and I know that I missed a lot, and I really want to go back and rewatch for a lot of reasons. And I had an amazing time watching this film. It's a brilliant movie.
Wow. Is there a 4K of this? Someone?
I don't know if the Criterion is a 4K or not.
I don't think it's
Judy
a 4K.
says no, not yet. All mean, I wonder.
Does it need
does it need one?
Yeah, I don't want to see any more of the seams on this guy's head. It's incredible, though.
Yeah. My Menchie's Arthur Rank's body. The dude who like rings the whatchamacallit to start the movie. Another amazing body. It could have been Burt Lancaster, for all I know. Body trickery with Blimp. 40 years ago, you don't know. His friend's voice is unreal. Waluigi. That guy's mustache.
Oh, yes, that's
That guy
Groucho
was
Marx.
so over the top. It was
I
nuts.
said, there's old sugar.
God, he's so loud.
He was loud.
If I was his friend, I'd be like, why are you yelling? I'm right here. Every time I saw him, his mustache just got more absurd. Let's see. Bowing. How about the amount of bowing that took place? Do we need to bring it back?
Did I miss the bowing?
There's so much bowing happening.
See, yes, I got to
during
watch it again.
during the duel conversation where they're just planning the duel for like 15 minutes around that table.
Eating that up. I was eating that up.
The bowing. My God. What are we doing? That barrack gymnasium looked awesome.
Massive.
That was so big. Model set as fire. I mean, yeah, she was ready to leave like after the duel and they all get effed up and he has, I don't know what was going on with those bandages on his face, but she's ready to like say hello and then leave. And they're like, oh, actually, I mean, the duel was about you. You can't leave. You got to stay here and nurse him back to health. Huh? I mean, how long was that process of nursing him back to health? Really?
They milked it. You know, they milked it.
Excuse me.
Both officers.
Is that a metaphor?
Lord have mercy.
Hello.
I mean, technically, I guess not, because she left for Theo. His aunt. I wrote, who is this old woman? She's probably like 30. So, I mean, that was her house, right?
Yeah,
Did he
she left
inherit
them
that
in
house?
The house, yeah.
Yeah.
What was like that family's like? They just born into wealth or something?
I did cringe at the passage of time with the killing of all the animals.
Yeah, that was my
yeah.
next one. Like all the animal heads. I mean, sheesh,
That's
what a different time.
That's way different. Wes Anderson, don't remake that scene.
Clive would be in the electric chair today. Oh my God.
Fried on 10 counts of murder.
God, the elephant one was vicious.
That was brutal.
Sicko.
I did like the tiger though.
The war ends and the birds start singing. I'm marrying you because I love watching you play sports. What?
Polo.
God.
You're sweating. You were sweating.
I fell to my knees.
Where did we go wrong?
God.
As a culture.
I mean, sometimes I play hockey and these younger dudes, like their girlfriends are like in the stands, like grinning. I'm like, what? What? I can't even say anything else. I don't have anything else to say. I just can't get it. Murdoch the butler. What's he? Oh yeah, so he's alone in this house, Murdoch the butler, for 8 weeks. Because Clive's like, oh, no, old chap, I'm leaving for 8 weeks. What the hell was Murdoch doing in that house for 8 weeks? Is that a vacation for a butler? I mean, that sounds like the life.
Dream job.
Yeah.
I mean, he died, but whatever. I wrote, Theo looks absolutely ghastly in this radio listening scene. I'm not sure if it was the lighting or they just threw more powder on him, but he just looked rough. Ghost-like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that quote, this is not a gentleman's war. And then, the scene at the end was really wild where the lake, and then he does the salute. Like, what's the rule on saluting? Like, when I see like an American salute, it's just always like, I'm doing the salute, it's like flat. Your hand's like flat.
Yeah, I can't keep
But then I see people saluting here, it's just like open-handed.
Yeah.
Palm out. Can we get what's the ruling on these things?
I try not to get involved. I just
3
stay out
fingers,
of it.
2 fingers. Like, what is it?
I mean, the open-handed one is like crazy.
Yeah.
It almost feels like a
Say it.
Gomer Pyle type salute with the hand like that.
Yeah. I mean, my first viewing, I was probably like 3.5 stars. I just like, I wasn't locked in. You know, you're checking your phone every few minutes. We're not experts.
I mean, that's the reason.
But like, I don't know. I just didn't quite get it. And then I said, you know what? There's got to be something else here.
Yeah.
So I made time for, again, another viewing, and I saw it. So I'm at 4.5 stars.
Wow.
For, the life and death of Colonel Blimp.
That's beautiful.
And we need to make moves on Deborah Kerr's filmography.
I'll make a
November. Can we wait that long? November?
November?
I don't know.
I mean, June Kerr doesn't work.
I think we have something for June. Let me open
it. It is
doc
June.
Here. All right, so there you have it. Proto, gonna take us home?
Yeah, we covered pretty much everything with this. I think the only other thing I wanted to mention is the humor in this. I find this movie so, like, I find it really funny. And I think there's scenes in it that are just like, they're not, I don't know. It's like a different kind of humor. Like the way they build like a joke. Like there's a one scene early on where both, it's Candy and that guy Groucho Marx with the mustache, and they're like waiting for their carriage, and there's like this older military guy comes in, and he starts like ragging on them of like, oh, you boys don't know what it's like to be yada yada, and then he sees like the medal on Candy's chest, and he was like, oh, you must be Candy. And he's like, oh, you've done great work. And he's like, yes, I have. And then like a moment later, he's like, where are you guys headed? And they're like, oh, we're off to see a show. And he's like, oh, I'm going to the same place. So like the whole reason he was ragging on them is like, he's like literally doing the same thing. And there's like a lot of like funny things like that in this, and just like jokes between them. There's another scene with Candy and Edith at the beginning of the movie where they're talking, and she makes some kind of statement about Livingston and a missionary. And then Candy says something like, oh, that must mean I'm the missionary and you're Livingston. And then she says, Livingston was the missionary, Mr. Candy. And he's like, oh, yes, quite right. But it's so very British and like so dry, but I love all of that. And that's like sprinkled through the whole movie. So I'm very happy that you guys enjoyed this. I mean, Slim, going double dipping.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Who has time?
Thank you.
Oh, the other thing I want to say, Teo, his voice, he sounded just like Belloc from Raiders to me. I was like, why is his voice so familiar? And I think it's because they have like the same voice.
Right.
Maybe it's like that slight German accent that they're working with.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I need to get a pair of Candy's trousers from the end of the movie.
All the trousers.
Maybe that'll be my getup for our meetup.
You come as Blimp, a British soldier.
But I'm at 5 stars. 5 stars still for this.
5 stars. Still at it. My God, Colonel Blimp.
I'll get a skin wig.
Ew. Is that what it's called?
I feel like we've had this conversation on the show before where like that phrase was banned for like a few years.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe it's been a few years.
But then like Proto doesn't apply it right, so it's just like wrinkly at the top and like repulsive. Okay, so next week we will be covering a movie. We will be covering a movie that will reveal who our first ever Mount Goatmore goat will be. But we're not going to tell you what that is right now. We are going to just release that episode to the world. Going to keep it a little surprise. And that's that. And you're going to have to listen to see the real story behind how we got there and why. And I think we're teasing potentially doing something for the 5th week. There's a 5th week this month.
Yeah.
God, it's only June 12th.
I know.
So
what
like
are we doing?
Are we like...
There's 6 weeks in June?
Is this a 6-week month?
Is that possible?
I figured it out at the beginning of it. I had to have figured this out. But we might be doing something for the 5th week. We'll see. But that's it. So surprise drop next week. Proto, closing thoughts.
Yeah, if you can't get enough of English imperialism,
Okay.
which I'm kind of drawn in, sucked into it. I can recommend one other movie that you could watch, which I think is maybe a better representation of it. If you want to just see how crazy it was, David Lean's movie, A Passage to India, is pretty wild because it takes place in India. It was shot in India, and you just see some of scenes of what the British Empire were doing in India, and it's kind of absurd. So if you see Colonel Blimp here, and you want to see more of the adventures that those characters of his ilk go on, check out A Passage to India. My recommendation.
You want to see more of the Blimp Man, Blimpy? Check it out. We'll see everybody next week for Mount Goatmore's big reveal. "70mm" is a tape deck production featuring original artwork provided by Danny Haas. Spiritual guidance and V'ger, the robot who loves movies, provided by Pertalexis. Producer at large Dale_A. And music composed by Cinematric. Prints and other merch are available on 70mmpod.com. This episode was mixed, edited, and produced by me, Slim. Support our Patreon for access to our VHS Village Discord to talk movies with new friends, access to our exclusive episodes in the 70mm vault, discounts on merch, uncut episodes, and a physical membership card mailed to you. To check out other Tape Deck podcasts, find the link in the episode notes. And if you'd like to support our friends at Letterboxd and upgrade to Pro or Patron status, you can do so with a 20% off discount using the links on 70mmpod.com. Goodbye.
This is a Tape Deck podcast.